I'm Dr. Elaine Wittenberg. I'm a professor in the Department of Communication Studies at Cal State LA. I have been here 7 years, if you count just the time that I'm teaching, but I'm an alum from the department. So I did several years before that in the 90s when I was a student in the master's program, and then I taught for a couple of years after I completed my master's degree. And the students are incredibly diverse, interesting, and very eager to learn and partner on projects and interested in the content. So it's a wonderful place to be where there's collaboration. When I was in my master's program, I desperately wanted to be a graduate teaching assistant and teach. And I didn't get accepted the first year, and I was really bummed. And so the second year, I tried really hard to get the courage to apply again, and I did, and I'm so glad I did because I went through a wonderful mentorship program in learning how to be a graduate teaching assistant. And the very first day I taught my very first class in King Hall, I'll never forget it. I was in the bathroom throwing up. I was so nervous. And then I went in and taught the class. And when I walked out of the class, I thought, that's it. That is what I want to do for the rest of my life. I enjoyed it so much, and I found it challenging, but really, really rewarding. I think that the department is doing great. I think that there's always room for improvement on anything, professional life, personal life. There's always room for improvement. So the area that we can strengthen is just doing some more applied work. I think we're working on this. As a faculty member, I went through a training with Dr. Bray, Dr. Afari, and a couple of other of our faculty members. We went through a training at CETL, which is the Center for Effective Teaching and Learning. We have assignments that are more focused on what they call career engagement. Instead of just completing an assignment academically for learning, that the assignment would have some sort of component for building an employable workplace skill. So I think the department's aware of where we need to strengthen, and we're investing in that area as a faculty. Very, very passionate about my research. I do research in the context of health communication, focus on provider training. And when I say providers, I mean physicians and nurses and sometimes social workers on their communication skills with patients and family members. And then I also focus on how we can help our family members who have a loved one that's sick, really sick in their family and needs assistance. And I look at the communication patterns and how they change within families and how families talk about disease and illness and make decisions, particularly when it's a very serious illness or when somebody's diagnosed with a life-changing prognosis where they're going to have to do something differently, or their time is limited in terms of their time left, their life. So I'm very passionate about what I do. I don't know if AI will necessarily result in increase or decrease. I mean, there's so many variables with the trends of education and people turning to education, people turning away from education, that I don't really understand all of the factors that go into it. I just know that we experience it at the university and within our own department. I think AI is going to drastically change education in terms of my role. And I already see that. In the springtime was the first time I actually saw students utilizing AI on their assignments. And um, it's a big change for me as a faculty member. And I took it a little personally at first, like, what? These students aren't doing their work, and I'm going to change my assignment. And then I realized that this is just about embracing change. And this is the flow of our culture. This is the direction of industry. And that my job as a faculty member is to learn how to either A, utilize it as a benefit and teach about it, or B, pivot and change the way that I'm doing my assignments so that students are getting the skill set that I want them to get out of my class. And I ultimately have opted for the later option. So I've changed a lot of my assignments, and I now include an AI statement on my syllabus that asks students not to use it. If you take a class with me, there's a couple of things you can expect. One is you can most likely expect that you'll be required to do the university required online training for research. So anybody who does research has to do an online training that's provided through the university. And I always use it as a required assignment for my students to get exposure to what that looks like in the components of research. And then the other thing that you would almost always are going to find in my class is a community assignment where you have to either interview somebody or survey them, whether they be in your family or your church or workplace setting, something like that. And I always try to include an interview, like I said, or something more practical. I've also been known to bring a lot of my own research in and do some data analysis. I've done that in the spring, which was really fun. And I find that my student evaluations are better when I do those kinds of assignments, that students enjoy them. It's a lot of work to integrate because of the university requirements, but it seems to be the employable workplace skill that students can hold on to and use when they go to other classes and when they go when they graduate and they go for a job interview. So because I took that training last year, I'm really starting to focus more on helping students think about life after school, because I think we can do a better job with that in our department. And going back to kind of one of the earlier questions. I would say the majority of students that I personally work with are going on to graduate school. They're applying for our master's program. I have a couple standouts went into grant writing for different organizations, educational organizers. Some are doing consulting work. Some are going on to be teachers on the within our department and within other community colleges. So really, all around. But I think students that work with me more, I was going to say intimately, but more one-on-one, are more focused on a graduate level preparation, publishing, and moving into the research area. So within the field of health comm, and you finish a bachelor's with an option in health comm, my goal is to orient you not just to the field, but to give you some skills. And I'd like to see more students being placed in research positions, which we have seen in the last couple of years. Our option in health comm is very new. It's only 5 years old. A couple of students that stand out who are really excelling, or who come into my office hours and say, this is exactly what I want to do, is work in this area and I like this. It's a lot of work to be a student, and it's a very special time. And work-life balance is key to success in life and key to success in academic career as well. So work hard, but reward yourself and take care of yourself. And remember to rest, remember to eat well, and remember to take care of yourself in the process of your academic journey. I wish I learned that early on.